Accessing library computer data.
Hello and welcome to my review/overview of the USS Enterprise, or the Tiny Prize, from Wave 0 in August of 2013 and then repainted and re-released in Wave 24 in May 2016. This is one of the few ships that is roughly scaled compared to the Galaxy class, but even within the Wave 0 ships, the Miranda class model is considerably larger than this one, despite them having a similar size saucer section on screen. I mean, it was compared to the refit Constitution class, but the original paint job on the model is okay. It is painted in a light grayish white with a blue bridge module and windows. Broussard collectors are orange, with some of the windows also being orange, and then there's gray highlighting on the nacelles and the inside of the nacelle supports. My USS Enterprise also has a saucer section that is angled off to the side, so another indictment of the model quality with this game, unfortunately. I think there are 3 other paint jobs for the Constitution class, one that came out with the ISS Enterprise, the USS Defiant 1764, and then with the repaint in Wave 24. So what comes in the pack? As this is an early ship in the game, you get a token for pretty much everything this ship can do. So there's a USS Enterprise / Constitution class ship template, and a Constitution class model and maneuver dial for the ship components. For tokens, there's 2 GMC Kirk ID tokens, 2 Christopher Pike ID tokens, 2 Federation Captain ID tokens, 1 Auxiliary Power token, 1 Battle Station token, 1 Critical token, 1 Disable token, 1 Evade token, 1 Scan token, 3 Shield tokens, Target Lock J, and a mission to Kobayashi Maru. So let's take a look at the ship and the upgrades in the pack. The first card in the pack is the named USS Enterprise, which is a unique Constitution class ship with 3 attack, 1 agility, 4 hull, and 3 shields, a primary 180-degree firing arc, the standard Federation action bar of Evade, Target Lock, Scan, Battle Stations, with 1 weapon and 4 crew slots for 22 points. The USS Enterprise can perform an action listed on its action bar while it has an auxiliary power token. This ability is really good when combined with a captain such as Catherine Janeway from the USS Voyager to still be able to do a double evade, battle station, or scan every turn without necessarily having to clear that auxiliary token on the ship. I also like the sheer number of crew slots, as there are a ton of useful crew that you'll be able to add without adding more slots. I do wish that there was a native tech slot on the ship, as none of the Constitution class ships seem to have, but you can use something like Systems Upgrade or Eric Motts to convert one of the crew slots or the weapon slot with System Upgrade to a tech slot if you need one. So I do still like this ship, and I've ran it a couple times and recommend running it with the right upgrades on it to take advantage of the ability. The generic Constitution class loses a shield, the ability, and 2 crew slots for original cost of 20 points, but was recently reduced with the release of the animated faction pack, which recosted the generic to 16 points. I don't mind the generic Constitution class, as it still has the 2 crew slots and a weapon slot to add something like Type 8 or upgraded phasers to. And it still has the 180-degree primary firing arc, which is always a good thing on any ship. But I do not see a ton of reason to play the generic, as there are cheaper fighter carriers out there, and the ability, extra shield, and 2 crew slots are probably worth the 6 points to move up to the USS Enterprise or another named Constitution class. The Constitution class maneuver dial is pretty standard. You have a 4 white straight. Your turns at 2 and 3, with the 3 being in red. The one nice thing is you do have the 2 reverse instead of usually the 1 reverse. There's no come about, but it's still a fairly maneuverable ship, especially with that 180-degree primary firing arc. First captain in the pack is none other than James T. Kirk, who is a unique captain with a skill of 9, rarity with 2 elite talent slots, and costs 6 points. Any Federation elite talent upgrades you purchase for Kirk cost exactly 3 squadron points and are placed face down beside this card. Each upgrade remains face down until you decide to use it, and then is turned face up for the rest of the game. While I do not think that he is the best Captain Kirk with the 2 elite talent slots, making them cost 3 points each, he can be useful for taking some of the more expensive elite talents, like the ones in this expansion, and surprise your opponent with the card as you're face down until you decide when you want to use it. I think that your mileage with this Kirk will vary based on how often you use Federation elite talents, or elite talents in general, I guess. I rarely use them, so I can't say that I recommend running this version of Kirk. The second captain is Christopher Pike, who is a unique captain with a skill 6, an elite talent slot, and costs 4 points. All of your crew upgrades cost -1 squadron point. Pike basically pays for himself if you have 4 crew on a ship, so then you have a cheap 6 skill captain for that higher captain skill. He is an alright captain if you want that bit higher captain skill, but unless you have a number of crew on the same ship, his ability is not actually that good, so I don't really recommend running him unless you want to have cheap to free skill 6 captain. The last captain is your generic Federation captain. Nothing really to say other than it is Captain Ronald Tracy from the USS Exeter from the TOS episode The Omega Glory. Not a very good episode. We'll move on. The first elite talent in the pack is Cheat Death, which costs 5 points. If your ship was just destroyed, discard this card to remove damage cards one at a time from your ship card until the amount of damage is 1 point less than your hull value. Flip all remaining damage cards face down. Essentially, when your ship would be destroyed, you remove damage cards until you have 1 hull left. I like Cheat Death and I've used it on occasion, and I've actually won games after initially being destroyed, as it gives you that another life with that ship. Combine it with something like Exocomp and you can not only survive, but every second turn you can repair your hull. There are also other hull/shield repair cards out there to really give your ship some durability when it's supposed to have initially been destroyed. And extra durability before you even have to use Cheat Death. Maybe a tad costly to use every time, but it's one of the very few Federation Elite talents that I like. The second Elite talent is Cochrane Deceleration Maneuver, which also costs 5 points. Action: if you performed a 1 straight maneuver this round, discard this upgrade to come about. Place an auxiliary power token beside your ship. Kind of an interesting way to add a come about maneuver to ships that do not typically have one on their dial. But for 5 points most time, I don't think this is worth it for an action and a discard. So it's just a very costly way of performing a come about maneuver. It is more reasonably priced at 3 points with Kirk from this pack, but it's still not something that I've ever seen played or seen myself using anytime soon. The last of the 10 upgrade is Coromite Maneuver, which again costs 5 points. Action: discard this card to prevent all enemy ships from attacking you this round. You cannot attack this round. While this card will probably never see competitive play with an action discard and again at 5 points, be potentially useful in the V'ger scenario or other scenarios to cancel a high number of attacks against your ship, like in the Rendezvous scenario, and if you're playing Faction Pure as I did on this channel, an attack cancellation is very necessary. But again, we'll probably never see competitive play at this point, and I've never seen it run in a game, but I do like it that it prevents all attacks against your ship and not just that one ship from attacking you. The only weapon in the pack is another copy of Photon Torpedoes, which are the same as the ones from the USS Reliant, more or less the starter set, as they cost 3 points and have an attack value of 4. Attack, target lock, spend your target lock and disable this card to perform this attack. You may convert one battle station result into a critical result. You may fire this weapon for your forward or firing arcs. Again, early torpedoes are not very good and are not really worth running in my opinion. The first crew in the pack is Mr. Spock, who is unique and costs 5 points. If your ship has a scan token beside it, when you attack, you may convert all your battle station results into hit results. I really like this Spock, especially on something like the Enterprise A, where you want to take that scan action, and then you get the +1 attack die, or +2 if it's a cloak ship. And then it also acts like a battle station token, while also reducing your opponent's defense die. He also works really well with the Federation torpedoes from the 2017 starter set, to not only convert the blanks to battle stations, but then convert those battle stations into hits. If you don't want to take a scan action, there is high energy sensor sweep to perform it as a free action at the cost of a disabled shield. I also really like him in conjunction with Beta Hirogen to really take advantage of that scan action. You get double scan and then really hamper your opponent's defense. And then you can also use, if you really want to make sure that you get all the quality, Valtane, so you can use the 2 scan tokens. He may be a tad expensive for some builds, but still really useful crew in today's game and someone that I tend to use fairly often in Federation builds. The second crew is Montgomery Scott, who is unique and costs 5 points. Action: disable 2 of your shields in order to gain +2 attack dice this round, or repair 1 shield token and reduce your total attack dice by 2 this round. This can be a decent, but if not competitive card to use. I think that it can be useful to pair with a captain that can use an additional action for some quality on that +2 attack dice when you disable your shield or shields. Or if your ship is not in a position to fire, you can repair a shield token instead. You do get options with Montgomery Scott. He can be useful on ships with primary weapon value of 4 or more, as they cannot take upgrades like Type 8 or upgraded phasers, but it's not someone I've actually ever used or seen being used. The next crew is Leonard McCoy, who is unique and costs 3 points. Discard McCoy to allow one of your crew upgrades to perform its action as a free action this round. I think that this is a decent ability to use someone like the action from Sulu in this pack without using possibly the only one action you have that turn. I do think that for a discard that this should be 2 points, as in most circumstances you only be able to use the ability once per game, without a way to either retrieve a discarded crew or to discard with a different crew member like Golvar Linalis. But then at that point, I'm not really sure the point cost is worth it. Next up is Hikaru Sulu, who is a unique crew and costs 3 points. Action: add 2 to your agility for the rest of this round. Each time you defend this round, you may convert 1 battle station result into an evade. The only other crew from this pack that still sees play today, in my venue anyway, he's an excellent crew to use when you're building a defensive ship, especially when you're able to use a ship action as a free action. He not only lets you roll 2 additional defense die, but you do get some quality with those dice as you convert one of the battle station results into an evade result. This Sulu is a staple on my Sutherland build, along with Hoodriker and most of my other Federation builds. I try to find a way to get him on there, as I like to take extra actions. Just be careful now with the rule of 3 when using Sulu and our defensive upgrades. They do not try and stack on too many defense dice that you go over 3. And it can be useful to go over 3 still. So if your opponent has a scan token, you still get that +3, but just something to watch out for. The last crew and card in the pack is Nyota Uhura, who is unique and costs 3 points. Discard Uhura immediately before you move in order to change your maneuver for this round. Another card that has a useful ability to change your maneuver in case your opponent does a maneuver that you're not expecting, and then you need to quickly change your own maneuver to put you either in a position to activate an ability or to stay in their firing arc, that kind of stuff. And I would much rather use Uhura than Maxwell 7, who does the same thing, as I'd rather discard a crew compared to the captain of the ship. But as with McCoy, I think that she's a point too expensive for a discard to change your maneuver, unless again you use Goval or Lenalis, but then again you have to think if that's worth the point cost involved. So thank you for taking the time to watch my review/overview of the USS Enterprise from the Wave 0 expansions. I think that most of the cards in this pack have aged at least somewhat well, with some of them still being usable, and at least home play, with Sulu probably being the most competitive card in the pack, along with Mr. Spock. And the USS Enterprise is also still usable depending on the build. To keep up to date with the reviews of the expansions from the beginning of the game, make sure you subscribe to the Airx channel and click on the notification bell to make sure you do not miss a video. And be sure to hit like that like button. You can also find me on Facebook at the Airx channel, where I post mostly Star Trek related content, including custom cards that I create. As with the star set, be sure to let me know in the comments if you have any fun builds using any of these cards, or if you disagree with a main card. Thank you for watching, and I shall see you next time.